You testing out all the voices or just you?
No, I'm just not doing anything.
Your Valley Girl voice is horrible.
That's not my Valley Girl. That's my regular voice.
As long as my voice doesn't peak, I think we're all good.
My voice pees.
Good.
That's gross and doesn't make sense.
I'm not sure that having your second monster in less than an hour is a good idea.
It's not less than an hour. I had one in the morning.
Oh, okay. You're good then.
That one's worn off.
What kind of natural ingredients are in a 0 sugar, 0 calorie monster?
I think it's mostly
I don't think
bone
it
marrow.
says anywhere that this is natural.
No, I'm not saying that it was.
It's
not false advertising.
I could probably eat the can, and there would be more natural ingredients in it than what's inside it.
Aluminium.
Aluminum.
Why do you prefer Monster to coffee?
I don't. I would rather have cold coffee if done right.
Why don't you buy that instead of
Like
Monster?
iced coffee?
I'm sure it's
like
easy to
iced
find.
coffee. It is. It's also $5 a can.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Doesn't Monster make like a cold coffee kind of thing?
So I'm turned off by that because one time I got one of those. It was, I think, probably past its prime, and it has milk in it, and it literally had like curdled milk inside.
Ew. Gross.
Oh, so
Yeah, so I just don't
through
want.
experience.
Don't want one of those.
Don't want.
Don't want.
Don Juan doesn't like Monster energy drink.
Yeah.
So, you guys gonna go see Avengers
No.
this weekend?
I always get excited to go watch something,
And that never happens.
and then my wife and I talk ourselves out of it. Mostly my wife talks us out of it.
Because of the expense, because of the time, because of it's been a long week and you don't want to leave again.
Hey, Avengers came out today. You want to go see it? Oh, I got a hockey game.
Wait, that's you. That's not your wife.
Yeah, I go, oh, I got a hockey. Yeah, my wife's like, oh, I got a hockey game. But my wife is also like,
My wife?
oh, it's opening weekend.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go with all the kids there and the crazies.
Yeah, and crowd. I don't like a crowded
People
theater.
dressed up. Like, her biggest thing is people dressed up and taking it too seriously.
Dressed. Oh, you mean like dressed up in costumes? I thought you
Yeah,
meant like wearing a bow tie and a monocle. Going to see the new Avengers movie, Jeeves.
That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
Who says that?
I don't know. That was my interpretation.
What kind of kids do you hang out with? Do your kids walk around with a top hat and a monocle?
No. Only when we're playing
Are
Monopoly.
your kids the penguin?
Both of your
Sometimes,
kids
yeah.
are like the penguin.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is
If
not
you've
possible.
seen the new
when you-
Gotham movie,
That's what you...
yeah.
You mean the show?
Yeah. It's one of my kids on the other's shoulders with a penguin costume on.
As opposed to the old Gotham movie where it would be both of your kids standing side by side.
Is there really a difference between TV shows and movies for most of these things? I mean, besides like the classic sitcom setup where you have non-movie, like the cinematography is different, right? I guess I categorize it like by the techniques used. And it seems like a lot of TV shows have movie techniques used in the filming
There's
of it.
very little difference between an hour-long show and a movie anymore. It's just longer. You know, you see a lot of people who are like traditionally movie stars who are transitioning to television because it's a longer gig, it's a more stable gig, and you know, they're just extrapolating the story over seasons. You know,
So isn't this kind of how it was back in, like, just when TV? Well, it's not just, let's say like 70s, right? I think you got the opposite, where you had a lot more TV actors who started going into movies.
Yeah.
Right? So I think we're kind of having like the reverse effect now.
Yeah, I mean, I would even say like the 80s, you know, the people who had great success on a TV show, then during the summers when they weren't filming a TV show, they would put them in movies, and it would be a big thing. Like Michael J. Fox, you know, he got popular on Family Ties,
right,
and then did Back to the Future, Teen Wolf, and all of those things.
Teen Wolf,
because it was just basically selling the celebrity, right?
Yeah,
and just using all of their time.
So, with this formula, we should be expecting Will Smith to
go back to TV.
To TV, yeah,
he might. Yeah.
Did you see his apparently in
Suicide Squad?
Suicide Squad, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who he is, but
Bullseye. Is that what it is?
No, that's Marvel.
Deadeye.
Deadeye.
I'm a lot less aware of Suicide Squad than I am of most like DC or Marvel movies to come out. DC movies in general don't get promoted as well, I think.
I don't think they have as good of a master plan. Like Marvel, everything's connected, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the confusing thing to me about DC is like, okay, so you've just had 3 very successful Batman movies, you know, with the Christopher Nolan films, and then now you're doing another one, but it's not a continuation of those. It's a completely different universe. So all the stuff that just happened is no longer valid,
right,
in this new boot.
I was never a comic book head, and I don't know if all of us, it would be you, right?
I've never really been into
No,
comic books
I was
at
into
all.
comic books a lot
Were
in the
you?
90s.
Yeah. The good-looking guys
But,
is the most
like,
nerdiest.
is the lack of continuity in the universe consistent in the DC?
It's really not. I don't think it's not really a lack. It's they change it. So it's almost like it ends, and it's like a parallel storyline.
So new generations, they do more.
Yeah, it's kind of like every couple of years they kill off Superman.
Because I remember when that Batman Beyond cartoon show came out,
Yeah.
and I was kind of like, this ain't Batman.
It's really
But-
dumb.
I like
Yeah.
Batman.
Did you?
Beyond. Yeah, and maybe it's the animation.
Well, the hard thing for me is that it's not Batman like I'm accustomed to Batman.
but it's not. It's not supposed to be.
Right. But
But it's Batman.
It's the idea of Batman.
The idea of Batman. It's not
Dumb.
the Batman you need,
Dumb.
the Batman you
Okay,
get.
Ben Affleck is Batman now. Is that
Strip down
Batman?
Batman. We don't want to put too much detail, so let's just put a ton of black, make it real jagged edges,
Yeah.
and then we'll throw some red in there.
I don't know. See, I liked it. I
I
like that
the
animation.
art of it.
Yeah, I
but
like the art.
I couldn't get into it because it's not, when you think of Batman, you think Bruce Wayne, you think,
It felt like more.
Kid
It's
with
not
parents getting
anime,
killed.
but that's like the
That's what I jumped to.
That's where I jump to when I think of Batman Beyond.
Yeah. Yeah, with DC, they've got, they got all their separate movies, and they've got like a Green Lantern movie that's just like out there and like completely separate. And then they've
That
got
was so bad.
yeah, and they've got the television, they've got the Flash and Green Arrow
So those
television
are
shows.
actually
and Gotham. Yeah, but they're all they
what?
all exist on their own. They're not interconnected
Well,
with
no,
the rest of the universe.
So Flash and Green Arrow,
They're
or
connected.
Arrow, they are connected,
but they're not connected to these movies. So that kid that plays Flash as a teenager on that show
Mm-hmm.
is certainly not going to be in the Justice League as Flash, which is not cohesive. Whereas, like, the events that happen in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the television show,
Right.
lead into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
So it's like they had a really good plan
Yeah.
You know
for
what else
including all
that-
of it into one universe.
You know what else? The Marvel Cinematic stuff has been really good quality, so
Yeah.
that helps it. But that continuity has allowed me or encouraged me to try some of their things that have been less popular to me in the past. Like, I was aware of Thor, but
Yeah.
I thought Thor was dumb as just a god who
I
had
never
long
liked
hair.
him in the comics.
But I saw
To
that
her
first.
now.
Yeah.
I saw that first Thor movie, and I was like, "Holy cow! This is my favorite one that's come out."
Yeah.
Same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
that's
I saw
awesome.
Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was like, "This is awesome!" And it was a waste of time
I
before
didn't,
that.
yeah, I didn't think I was ever going to like that. It was,
So the high quality, definitely, because once you get into a movie, it's got to be good in order for you to enjoy it, right? So that's really what sells me on it. But the reason I gave it a chance in the first place is because it was connected.
well, and
know?
you trust it because you know that there's a formula for the Marvel universe.
Right.
They all pretty much look the same in terms of, like, cinematically. They have a similar sense of humor. So it's like a little bit of a sense of humor, undertones, and that, but like, big battles, and so I don't know. It's more. It seems more fun than, and the DC universe to me, even though I'm part of it, technically, doesn't seem. It seems to take itself too seriously.
Yeah, where there's definitely a serious edge to the Marvel stuff, but there's quite a bit of humor
There's a lot of humor.
intertwined
Yeah.
in that.
Well, I don't know if you saw this. I think last week or something they did the last Superman movie. They somebody came out and did a colorized
And
version of it.
color corrected
Color
it?
corrected.
Yeah,
I would much have rather watched that movie.
it looked good. It wasn't
Yeah.
a
Which
struggle.
movie is this?
The
So
super,
the-
first Man of Steel.
Yeah, the first Man of Steel. If you look at it, it's really like dark. It's really like
dulled
monotone.
down,
Yeah,
right?
it's dulled down. So somebody went and they didn't do the whole movie, but a bunch of scenes, and they color corrected it. They basically brought back all the
They
colors.
took the sepia filter off.
Yeah,
Well, it's not even sepia. It's like black and white and sepia had a child or something.
Black and white and sepia had a child.
Yeah.
That's a good idea for a new Instagram filter.
Should be called sexy old
TLDR.
Old timey.
Just call it TLDR.
TLDR.
Filter.
Awesome. Yeah. So the other thing about the Marvel stuff is that almost everything that comes out interconnects in one way or another.
Yes.
Which I think is great because it makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas in DC, you have like a new Batman every 5 years.
Right. Well,
And-
you know what? There's a new Spider-Man every 10 years, I guess.
Well, so Spider-Man's coming back to
Avengers and
right.
So wait, did Guardians
Sony
have
anymore.
the
Right.
after credits scene that had Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in it, or was that a different movie?
That was
Fantastic. Oh no!
Which
When you say Quicksilver, I think of Silver Surfer for some
Oh,
reason.
yeah.
which one had that? Because that was a huge after
It
credit
was-
Easter
Wasn't
egg.
it the first Avengers?
No, it may have been
Captain America, Winter
Captain
Soldier.
America 2. Yeah.
Okay,
Winter Soldier.
because of all the ones that feel the furthest removed, Guardians feels furthest removed
Right.
for me.
Right.
And it would have been interesting. I forget what the after credit for that was.
It was
but-
what's his name?
Howard the Duck
Yeah, but it's
and the Collector
yeah.
or whatever his name is.
But wasn't it who the hell's the main guy? The big purple dude.
Thanos.
Yeah.
But-
Wasn't he in there too?
But Thanos
He
was
was-
in the actual movie.
He was throughout. He was like, they had Ronan, who was like the bad guy of the movie, but he, was part of Thanos'
Right.
Yeah.
group.
And
So you're right, it was just
Thanos
Howard
was
the
in,
Duck.
Yeah,
in an
I think
Easter
it
egg
was.
in a different movie. Like the basically the build up to Guardians was in, and I can't keep track of which movie had which Easter egg.
Wasn't it
but
the
they
first
do-
Avengers? At the end of that, because of Loki and everything, and
No, the first Avengers at the end was them eating shawarma.
which was sweet.
Yeah, but it didn't have
it
anything.
brought
like,
shawarma to America.
right.
But when you do it with that movie, you don't really need. You can. That was brilliant to inject the humor, use it for humor, as opposed to previewing or
Yeah,
because that's what they usually use it as a teaser.
right. And to foreshadow what's
Right.
coming. Right.
But when you're in the movie,
Right.
that everything before that was building up to,
And they may not have known what the next step was going to be from that
might not
because
have,
they,
right?
I mean, they
Yeah.
certainly didn't have any. They probably expected that the first Avengers movie would do really well,
Right.
but certainly not to the scale that it was.
Yeah, not so big that they were like, let's also do Ant-Man.
yeah,
holy cow, yeah. And it's got me willing to try it, right?
I like Paul Rudd. I like
Yeah.
Marvel, so why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I try it?
Which one do you like more?
Paul Rudd or Marvel? Well, I think Marvel has a greater library of hits. Paul Rudd is every 3 movies is really good. But you know what? I even enjoy him in crappy movies. There's
What's a crappy movie was that?
a crappy movie that Paul Rudd was in. My Idiot Brother. Do you see that one?
No.
It was like Zoe Deschanel, Rashida Jones, somebody else. They were all his sisters, and he was like a screw up that lived on a commune or something. Was he in? He was in Wanderlust with Jennifer Aniston, right? That
Yeah.
was him.
Yeah.
That wasn't a very good movie, but I enjoyed him in it because he's funny, you know.
Uh-huh.
I didn't think Anchorman 2 was very good, but he's fun. Oh, what was that movie with him and Steve Carell? Where Steve Carell was just like some loser that would like tag along to him. Oh, it was like they had Paul Rudd's boss had an annual party where they can bring
Dinner for Schmucks.
Dinner for Schmucks, yeah. Like who could bring the biggest loser to the party, and then they would win, and of course he feels bad, and they become friends for real. That was a really dumb movie.
Yeah.
But those two together was really funny, right?
Galifianakis?
No. He was in that, but he
Yeah.
was somebody else's
He
schmuck.
he wasn't he was a schmuck, but he didn't think that he was. So,
Yeah. And Steve Carell was Paul Rudd's schmuck. Paul Rudd is good even in bad movies.
But you've said that before, where you enjoy bad movies more than good movies sometimes, because even in bad movies you can kind of cannibalize it out and find aspects that you like.
I think that conversation was, I'm interested in finding out why I don't like something.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's
I'll
what it
watch
was.
it And like for like a show, for example, like this is a really popular show, and I watch it, like I don't get it. I'll give you an example. HBO's Girls. Critics, people who are like really comedy bloggers and stuff like that really, really like the show Girls. So it's like, okay, cool, I'll try it. And I watched the first one. I was like, this is really dumb. I don't like it. Not for me. Yeah. I don't like it at all. But I was like, well, all these people can't. All the people whose opinions that I trust can't be wrong, right? So I watched the entire first season. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't care for it. And then I watched the second season, and I still didn't care for it. I haven't watched this most recent season, but I was really interested in at least knowing what it's about and trying to identify what it is that people like about it, because that sometimes helps inform my writing style and how I think people like, maybe like what's a popular genre, what's popular methodology of comedy at the time, right? It evolves over time. So I think that's what I was referring to. Yeah. Not so much that I enjoy bad stuff, but I really want to dissect it and see what it is about it that I don't like, and what about it I can understand that the mass public likes about it.
So what is it about Girls that the mass public likes?
I think it's just one of those HBO show things, right? It's
possibly.
It takes it beyond what you would see on regular TV, and I think that's really what it's got going for it. There's nudity, but not like so in your face kind of thing, and all this kind of stuff, and like the subjects that they talk about is really what's about it. I don't really see it as a comedy, and I've only seen a couple episodes here and there. They're good enough to where like I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But I have the same thing. Like, I don't know if either of you watched Orphan Black.
No, I've heard a lot about it.
So I watched like the first season, the second season, and didn't finish the second season because it just kind of lost it. Mm-hmm. But it was the same kind of thing, very acclaimed, like really good show, like one person playing 5 different roles kind of thing. Like, you have to check it out. And it was good, but was it amazing?
Yeah.
No.
I can appreciate the talent of that actress who plays all of those different characters.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily make the show very good. And I don't know, I've never seen it at all. But I think that sometimes those things, the one quirk about a show or a movie that makes it different is the reason that it's celebrated. And not because it's a really good in content, but, this aspect of it is so out there and really cool. When The Office first came out, the only thing separating it from a regular sitcom was the style that it was shooting. It was a first-person documentary style where they look at the camera and stuff.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Right. Which, at the time when it first came out, that was sort of like a new thing, right? And it was a lot of people's first exposure to that style. And since then, so many shows have come out like that.
Right.
But that may have gotten it popular enough that they could, survive as a show and continue on because it was so unique.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. It kind of actually got me thinking that it has a lot more to do with maybe people being not necessarily bought out, but with just marketing. Like, that's what it is. Like, it's not that it's actually really good, and that's why you watch it, but everybody talks about it because of the marketing after it. And I think that's why I come to a show sometimes and I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see why 55 critics were talking about it or something. Yeah. And, do we even trust critics anymore? It's like anybody out there is a critic. If you look at Rotten Tomatoes,
right.
I used to, when that just came out, I used to follow that because it was pretty good, the scores that they gave it. But now I feel there's a lot more movies that are low on their scales that I actually like.
Yeah.
That they're supposedly I'm supposed to hate.
Right.
So.
And I don't think that those scores are aligned with my personal preference. I mean, it's different for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know that The Avengers wasn't the most proficiently created cinematic masterpiece ever.
You shut up now.
But I know that I enjoyed it. And I don't care if it's formulaic.
Though, right?
It's
kind of interesting because I don't know. You guys know my opinion on movies and TV shows and stuff like that.
If it's on, you like it.
If it's on, I like it, right?
It's like food.
Yeah.
If it's in front of me, you'll eat it, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, I guess I don't have a feel. It's not my thing, so I don't have a feeling that I need to be sophisticated about it. Like, I don't have expectations for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel guilty if I like something or I dislike something. And I don't know, maybe it's because it's such a popular medium that most people have a very strong opinion about it. I mean, I guess it would be similar to, for me, it would be sports, right?
Yeah.
For others, it might be something else. Like people get really heavy into politics, and I think that people that are heavy into movies and stuff are equally, if not more passionate about it as people that are very passionate about a lot of different things.
Or beers. Like look at craft beers right now. Like, this one has pine needles and a little bit of maple syrup,
right?
And hops,
gin.
lots and lots of hops.
Well, that's a good segue because I think that there's a lot of people that like IPAs and are downright snobby about IPAs being basically, like, it's not even a conversation about beer.
Right.
They will only drink IPAs and then they'll tell you the IPAs that are their favorite. Right. And you know what? It'd be very easy to reach out and be like, okay, that's either snobby behavior or that's sophisticated behavior. Right.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, I don't participate. Like, I really like beer, and there was a time in my life where I kind of fell into the trap of drinking IPAs because that's the man's beer, right? Not a man, but a man's beer, right?
Yeah, I mean it's just part of the community aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
Is something to talk about.
And now what I've found is as I drink beer less, I don't get too pretentious about the beer that I'm drinking and make other people feel bad about drinking whatever beer they're drinking. And it also has given me the freedom to drink what I like at the moment. Like, if I drink a wheat beer because it's hot outside and it drinks easy and I find it to be refreshing, it's not me choosing to drink a woman's beer. It's me drinking a beer that I want to drink at that moment.
Yeah.
It's always been social for me. Like, I never really cared what the hell it was that I was drinking. Like, if whatever people were drinking that was around, like, I'll drink. So if it's light beer, I'll drink light beer. If it's whatever, like, I'm not going to make it a point to go out to, like, a microbrew and pick up a 6-pack of whatever because that's what I drink. So
it's interesting because I don't think I said interesting correctly.
That's okay.
But it's interesting because a Bud Light or a Miller Lite or a PBR will taste better in a hockey locker room to me than it would if I drank it at a bar or elsewhere. Because that's like, in my mind, that's when I drink it. Like,
really?
Because it's always cans in a locker room because glass is too heavy and you're carrying it in your hockey bag and cans can get bumped around.
This is a whole different level of hockey that I didn't know existed. Is the post-game drinking.
Well, I think he never said post.
That's true. He just said locker room. That's before halftime.
We don't say posts.
Right.
Unless you're a goalie.
Yes.
But no, it depends on when and where. Like, I'll drink an Oberon in the summer. Mm-hmm. And that's why, like, it's available year-round almost now. Like,
you could probably get it if you wanted it.
They keep making the seasons longer and longer to the point where you could buy...
It's seasonal all year round.
It's seasonal from March to November.
It's seasonal in the way that Los Angeles has seasons.
Well, Oktoberfest, when it comes out...
Because it's the same temperature all year round almost.
I ignored it and I left it.
West Coast joke.
Leave it behind. No, when Oktoberfest comes out in July, it's not the time of year to be drinking Oktoberfest.
Right. But if you want one, you can have one.
If I want one, I can have one. And that's that's the point, right? I'm not saying that other people shouldn't have it. It's just, for me, it's in the moment that I want something, I want it, right? Yeah. And I'm sure people have their beer. There are people that we know that will drink nothing but PBR.
Right.
Right? There are people that will drink nothing but a certain IPA or only dabble in certain ranges of IPAs, right? I just have found now that it's too it's too harsh of a beer for me to drink and enjoy it all the time.
And that's the ultimate goal, is you want to enjoy it. And I don't have a problem with the people who are very, very into microbrews and what goes into it and the ingredients and, this company versus another company. That's fine, and I find that interesting, and I'm happy to engage in a conversation about, well, what is it about this brand that you really like, or this IPA? What is it that you like? I'm happy to have that conversation. It's the point at which they're like looking down on me for not having that same sort of experience, which is why, bringing it back to the comedy, I don't want to be that same way to other people. It's like, okay, I'm passionate about comedy and I study and really enjoy and consume a lot of it, but I'm not going to get down on you and say, you know what, you shouldn't watch Big Bang Theory because this, and this. And, when you asked me about it, I shared with you my opinions, but I don't want to be the guy who's going around, drinking Miller Lite, why don't you just drink piss?
I think that's the important part, is you don't want to be proactive about it. Yeah. This is one of the few aspects of life where being proactive is being a jerk. Where if you're asked about your opinion, you don't want to shy away from it just to be nice. Like, if someone asked me my opinion on beer, I would say that I prefer red and brown ales and lagers, right? Like, in that range. But I'm willing to try anything. I really enjoy all types.
Right.
Where for you, if someone's going to ask you your opinion about a certain movie, it would be disingenuous to shy away from saying exactly how you felt.
Right.
But if you're offering the information, then you're being a jerk.
Well, you just don't want to be a snob about it, right? Because like who am I to say that I'm an expert on it? Who is, someone who has a drinking problem to say, like, oh, hey, this is why you should drink this beer.
There's also people that drink way too much craft beer feel that they're a different kind of alcoholic than someone.
Like they're not one.
I don't think they call themselves alcoholics.
Yeah, they don't believe that they are an alcoholic.
They're a connoisseur.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Whereas
very well could be.
There's no difference between them and someone who slams a bottle of Pop-Off, right?
Maybe the amount of money they spend.
They don't drink Pop-Off.
Well, there was this story about this girl that died, where this guy was at a golf outing all day, and he was drinking craft brew all day, and he was buzzed and hit her, and the girl died.
Oh my god!
And it's kind of
golf cart or
no, in a car. Like he left, and it's almost. I mean, it's irresponsible to drink and drive whenever.
Yeah.
And I think most craft beer connoisseurs understand that you can't have too many, or the results are the same.
Right.
But for some reason, the mentality's different about going to a golf outing and sampling craft beers all day and everything like that than there is about, the guy that went to the neighborhood bar
and drinking there for
and
6 hours.
Yeah. Right?
If anything, it's actually those craft brews are way higher alcohol content.
True.
Especially your IPAs and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
The same thing, the past weekend when we went to the bar, I mean, I had two beers, I think, but they were like specialty, whatever I don't know, whatever the waitress brought me, really is what it was. And I got home and I felt okay, but like an hour after that, like I really felt like drunk.
Yeah.
And from like 2 beers. And I think because their alcohol content was like above 6% on both of them. So
this isn't actually a podcast. This is actually our tricking you into an intervention.
You think I'm an alcoholic?
Yeah.
No,
I'm just kidding. This is Monster.
Don't take my drink.
Don't take my Jesus.
I can stop drinking Monster anytime I want.
I did have a problem when I bought a 30-pack from Sam's Club.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
You were just like shaking.
One in volume. Yeah, one in volume. if it's available, I'll just drink it all the time. It's like beef jerky. You cannot just stop. If I know that there's beef jerky,
you're going to have
eating
it. Right.
I used to...
How would you buy it not to eat it?
That's true.
I used to drink Gatorade instead of water all the time.
Yeah, me too.
And...
That's your secret.
I realized that not only was it extremely unhealthy to drink that sugary syrup all the time, but it was costing me lots of money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided that I was going to cut pop and Gatorade and everything out and try to drink water in place of that.
Yeah.
Problem is, I don't hydrate nearly as well on just water.
Really?
As I did when I would pound Gatorades all day, because
it's more enjoyable.
And your body, like, you crave it too, because it's like
sugar. The
sugar makes you want to drink more of it. So it's
the law of Diet Coke.
Diet Coke.
That's a thing in Diet Coke. Like,
so there's this balance. Like, am I more healthy because I'm not slamming high fructose corn syrup all the time? Probably. But am I less healthy because I don't hydrate as well? Yeah.
Maybe. It's true.
I think you can overcome that.
Oh, yeah. I think there is a clear, better side to
You're
that.
chugging a water right now.
Yeah.
As we speak. So
but that's probably only because we were talking about it. It reminded him that the thing that he was holding actually had water in it.
It's actually easier for me to go to meetings. I hydrate better when we have meetings.
Because you talk more?
Because I'm more passive. Because in meetings, we're talking, and people are talking, and I'm not listening, and
you gotta do something.
This is
glad to
something
know
to
you're
do.
not listening in meetings.
Well, yeah. Come on, be honest. How many times you check out during a meeting versus during the day? I'm pretty focused.
Sure,
I'm either focused on my work or I'm focused on
it's
a
also
YouTube
something.
video.
It's also
right?
something to do, right? It's it's an activity. It's like a nervous habit, not to be.
I take apart pens.
Take apart. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I take apart pens.
Do you make the weapons out of it? The launch shooter?
I neatly put all the pieces next to each other and then look at it and then put it back together.
Oh, you're really
OCD.
I don't think I am. I don't.
You're very organized, though. OCD is being.
It's just an
being
easy
too
way
harsh.
to say it.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's actually another thing that I saw. I think probably on Facebook. It was one of those like posts, like not from your friends, but whatever. And they're saying that, when you say something like, "Oh, I'm just OCD about that" or whatever, to people who actually have OCD, that's almost like...
Is it offensive?
It's kind of like offensive. At least that's what the message was saying.
Because they don't want to have those kind of behaviors.
Right. They're saying... So the message was saying that you're not OCD. You're just organized. Or you like to have things organized and have a clean apartment. That does not mean that you have this disorder.
Right.
Or, I mean, did they change it? Isn't it not OCD anymore? Is it still a disorder?
I believe it's still called OCD.
Okay.
Well, it's compulsion.
Obsessive compulsive disorder.
Right. But so the thing is, like you said, is they don't choose to have it.
Right. And for some people, it's like a really, really like debilitating affliction, right? Because it affects their life. They can't step.
Whereas
on tiles,
a really super organized person, it actually benefits them.
It's minimizing how bad of a disease it can be.
Yeah. It's almost like what's the next step? We're gonna be like, oh, that's just my autism.
That's essentially this. It's what you're doing is you're minimizing it and making light of it.
Right.
It's like, you owe me $750. Well, how do you know it's exactly $750? Oh, I'm a little autistic.
Are there other?
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but
no. I mean that's exactly the point they're making, right, in that article.
Are there other things that are kind of like that? I think dyslexia is kind of made fun of in jest.
Anyone is
like when you jumble up your words.
Yep.
I know that I've heard people say, "Oh, that's just my dyslexia."
I got dyslexia.
Yeah, I'm just dyslexic or whatever.
Yeah.
Or,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things that are pretty offensive that you can, you say, but you don't really think of because OCD. A lot of people don't have the experience of just a really, really extreme case.
Well, like homosexuality used to be that way. Like to say
when you say like stuff like that, yeah.
Well, it turned into metrosexuality though. In a way.
Is that any better? Is it less offensive? I mean, like, people actually...
I think that's why that existed. to make it.
It was like a softer way of like saying
To saying no, that's a positive thing.
No,
Like,
all it is it was saying that it really, to me, and I don't know, I'm not an expert in this thing. It was almost like a person who's like has gay tendencies but is not homosexual.
I thought it was more about dressing.
But it was that way because they would dress kind of like gay guys would dress or something.
You're a sharp dresser that is often associated with also being homosexual.
I think it was a little bit different than being a sharp dresser. It wasn't necessarily like GQ being dressed up. It was GQ after a few drinks going to a nightclub in Miami or something.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense to anybody.
I mean, it might just be so far removed from what my understanding of.
Yeah. And I don't know, but
I mean,
that
came from
thing's
like
over.
one show, right?
But anyway,
the queer eye for the straight guy.
Yeah.
The bottom line is it's something that's within you and that you can't help, that just is you. Now, that's a little bit different because no one enjoys being OCD. Right? Like,
but people enjoy being organized.
Like, being gay is not a disease. So it is a little bit different.
I think everyone has left.
We should probably leave too.
Why do we have funeral flowers?
They're low upkeep.
Going to the funeral.
Going to the funeral. Got some flowers. Yeah, boy.
I almost said got my beats, but then I realized that's Dre.
That's Dre, yeah. Okay, well.
Good one.
Let's go.
Bye.
See you later.